My name is Anna. I am 36 years old, and today I have nothing. I sit on the cold steps outside a small convenience store. It is the only place with light at this hour. The snow keeps falling, soft and heavy, like the sky has decided to never stop. Every time the glass door slides open, warm air touches my face for 1 second, then disappears. I try to hold on to that warmth like it is a memory. My hands are shaking. My legs feel stiff. The wind bites my skin through my coat. I place both hands over my stomach and breathe slowly. I am 7 months pregnant, but no one knows that. Not the clerk inside, not the strangers passing by, not the man who used to call me his wife. I am tired. I am broken, but I cannot sleep. If I sleep, who will protect my baby? A month ago, I had a warm home. I had a husband. I had a future. Now I have a phone with a cracked screen and a battery that is almost dead. I have $42 in my pocket. I counted it again and again because I could not believe it. I have one small bag with a sweater, a toothbrush, and socks. I look at my dirty hands. I look at the empty street. I ask myself, how did I get here? Life was never easy for me. I grew up alone. My parents passed away when I was very young. I barely remember their faces. I remember only small things. My mother's soft voice, my father's laugh, and then silence. After that, I lived in places that never felt like mine. People were sometimes kind, sometimes not. I learned to be quiet. I learned to say thank you too many times. I learned that if you asked for too much, people would push you away. At school, I was the girl who sat alone. I watched other children run to their families after class. I watched mothers fix their children's scarves and fathers carry them to the car. I told myself I did not care, but I did. I always dreamed of a family, a real family. Not perfect, just safe. That is why when I met Mark, I believed him too fast. Mark was charming. He smiled easily. He spoke like the world was simple. The first time we met, he looked at me and said, "You look like someone who has been strong for too long." Those words went straight into my chest. He remembered little things about me. He asked questions and listened. No one had listened like that before. One winter night, we sat in his car while snow fell softly. He held my hand and said, "Anna, I will take care of you. You will never be lonely again." I wanted to believe him. I needed to. We got married the next year. For a while, life felt warm. We cooked dinner together. We watched movies under the same blanket. He called me home, and I thought that was the most beautiful word. When I found out I was pregnant, I cried alone in the bathroom, not because I was unhappy, because I was scared of how much I wanted it. A baby meant a real family. A baby meant someone who could not leave me. I planned to tell Mark in a sweet way. I wanted to see his face soften. I wanted to hear him say, "We can do this." But before I could, everything started to change. Mark lost his job. At first, he acted calm. He said, "It's fine," he said. "I'll find something new." He kissed my forehead like nothing could touch us. But days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. He began to sleep late. He stopped shaving. He sat on the couch and stared at his phone for hours. When I asked about interviews, his eyes turned cold. "Stop asking," he snapped. "You think I don't know?" So I stopped asking. I cut expenses, I bought cheaper food, I stopped buying anything for myself. I told myself marriage meant staying, even when it was hard. Then I noticed strange little things. He came home late. He took calls in the bathroom. He smiled at his phone like it was talking back. One day, I washed his shirt and smelled perfume that was not mine. Sweet, expensive perfume. I stood in the laundry room holding that shirt, and my hands began to shake. I wanted to ask him the truth, but fear held my tongue. Fear of losing him, fear of being alone again, fear of telling him about the baby and seeing him still walk away. So I stayed quiet. I kept cooking, I kept cleaning, I kept smiling even when my stomach tightened with worry, and I kept my secret. Then came the worst night of my life. It was a Tuesday evening. New York was covered in snow. The air was freezing, the kind of cold that makes the city feel sharp. I was in the kitchen stirring soup when I heard the front door open. Mark walked in, but he was not alone. A young woman followed him. She had perfect hair, perfect makeup, and a coat that looked too expensive for our small hallway. She looked around like she already owned the place. For 1 second, my mind could not understand what my eyes were seeing. Mark stared at me with eyes that felt empty. "Pack your things," he said. I froze. "What?" I whispered. "Pack your things and get out," he said louder. "I want a divorce." My chest tightened. "Mark, it's snowing. Please." He laughed, but there was no warmth in it. "I'm tired," he said. "You're boring, Anna. Always quiet, always worried. I need more." The woman behind him crossed her arms, smiling slightly. I felt sick. My hands moved to my stomach without thinking. "This is it," I told myself. "Tell him now. If he knows, he will stop. He has to stop." I took a step forward. "Mark," I said softly, "I need to tell you something. He raised his hand like a wall. "Don't," he said. "I don't care." Then he opened the closet, grabbed my suitcase, and threw clothes into it like they were garbage. He pulled open drawers, he tossed my sweaters, my jeans, my shoes. He moved fast, like he had practiced this. My throat burned. "Where will I go?" I whispered. He did not answer. He dragged the suitcase to the door and opened it wide. Cold wind rushed into the house like an animal. Snow flew into the hallway. He pushed the suitcase outside. Then he pushed me. I stumbled onto the icy steps. My shoes slipped. I caught the railing with shaking fingers. The door slammed. Click. That sound, the lock, was like something breaking inside my head. I stood there, staring at the door, waiting for it to open again, waiting for him to call my name. But the lights inside went off. I walked through the snow until my legs hurt. My phone buzzed once, then the battery died. I tried to keep going because stopping felt dangerous. The cold made my thoughts slow. The streets felt endless. People passed me. Some looked at me for half a second, then looked away. New York is full of people, but it can be full of silence, too. A sharp pain twisted in my lower belly. I stopped and held my stomach. My breath came out in white clouds. "Please," I whispered into the night. "Please be okay." I started walking again, slower this time. I found the convenience store because it was the only place with light. I stood outside first, ashamed, like I did not have the right to go in. Then I walked inside to warm my hands near the heater. The clerk glanced at me, then looked away. He did not ask questions. Maybe he had learned that questions can make someone break. I stood there, trying not to cry, trying not to shake. That was when I heard a small sound. Crying. A boy stood near the door, rubbing his eyes. He was small, maybe 8 years old. His jacket looked thin. His cheeks were red from cold. He looked around like he was searching, but no one came. I walked toward him slowly. "Hey," I said gently. "Are you okay?" He shook his head. "I can't find my dad," he whispered. My heart dropped. I looked outside. The snow was thicker now. The streetlights made it look like smoke. "Where did you last see him?" I asked. The boy's lips trembled. "I don't know. We were walking and then I couldn't see him." His hands were shaking. His shoes were wet. I touched the money in my pocket. $42.
That money could buy me food, it could buy me time, it could maybe buy me one night somewhere warm if I was lucky. My stomach tightened again. A wave of dizziness rolled through me. I am not strong, I thought. Not tonight. I'm barely standing. But I also knew something simple and terrible. A child alone in the snow can die. I took a deep breath. "Come sit," I told him. "You're cold."
We sat near the heater. I bought him a hot chocolate and a sandwich. The clerk watched me this time. His face softened a little, but he still said nothing. The boy warmed his hands around the cup. "My name is Ben," he said. "I'm Anna," I told him. He looked at me for a long moment. "You look cold too," he said quietly. I forced a small smile. "I'm okay." Minutes passed. The clock above the cashier sounded loud in the silence. Then the door opened and cold air rushed in. A man ran inside, covered in snow. His eyes were wide with panic. He looked around like his heart was breaking. "Ben!" he shouted. The boy jumped up. "Dad!" They ran into each other's arms. The father held his son tightly, like he never wanted to let go. He turned to me breathless. "Thank you," he said. "Thank you so much. I turned away for 1 second." "It's okay," I said, my voice shaking. He reached into his wallet. "Please, take this." I shook my head. "No, just take him home." He stared at me like he could not understand why. Then he nodded slowly. "I will never forget this," he said. He took Ben's hand and disappeared into the snow. The door closed, the warmth faded again, and the pain in my belly hit harder. I tried to stand, but my legs felt weak, my vision blurred at the edges. I took one step, then another. The floor seemed to tilt. I reached for the counter, but my fingers missed it. Then everything went dark. When I opened my eyes, the world was white. Bright lights, clean walls, the sharp smell of medicine. I was in a hospital bed. Panic exploded in my chest. A hospital meant a bill. A bill meant a nightmare. I tried to sit up, but pain shot through me. I gasped and held my stomach. A nurse rushed in. "Ma'am, please," she said gently, "you're safe." "I can't pay," I whispered. "I need to leave." The nurse's eyes softened. "Your baby is okay," she said quietly. My breath stopped. Baby. The word hung in the air like my secret had been pulled into the light. Tears filled my eyes. "Yes," I whispered. "I'm pregnant." The nurse nodded. 7 months, she said. "You're exhausted and dehydrated. You need rest." I covered my face with my hands. My body shook as I cried. I thought of Mark. I thought of the locked door. I thought of the lights going off. I wanted to tell him. I wanted him to care. But he had already decided I did not matter. Then the door opened. A man walked in, tall, wearing a dark coat still wet from snow. His face looked tired and worried, like he had not slept. It was Ben's father. For a second, I thought I was dreaming again. He stepped closer. "It's you," he said softly. "I found you." I stared at him, confused. "How?" "I asked the clerk," he said. "He told me you collapsed. I couldn't stop thinking about you. You helped my son, and then you walked out into the storm." His eyes moved to my hands over my stomach. "You're pregnant," he said quietly. I swallowed. "Yes." He sat down slowly, like the truth made his chest heavy. "Why were you outside?" he asked. I did not want to speak. I did not want the story to become real. But the words came anyway. "My husband," I whispered. "He locked me out. He turned off the lights. He said, he doesn't care." The man's jaw tightened. "I'm sorry," he said. And it did not sound like empty words. "Daniel," he said after a moment, "I work for the city. I manage housing projects for families in crisis." City housing. The words sounded unreal, like a door opening in a wall I thought was solid. Daniel took a deep breath. "Tonight, my son could have frozen," he said. "If you hadn't stayed with him, I don't know." He looked at me carefully. "You were cold too. You were alone too, but you still chose kindness." I blinked, tears still on my face. "I didn't think," I whispered. "I just couldn't leave him." Daniel nodded slowly. "That choice matters," he said. He leaned forward. "Let me help you," he said. I shook my head quickly. "No, I can't take charity." "It's not charity," he said firmly. "It's responsibility. It's what should happen when someone does the right thing." He pointed toward the hallway. "First, don't worry about the hospital bill. We can put it under emergency assistance. I'll sign the paperwork." My mouth opened slightly. "What?" "Second," he continued, "you need a safe place tonight. Not a floor, not the street. A real room, warm and clean." My chest tightened, not from fear this time, but from something I had not felt in weeks. Relief. "Third," he said, "tomorrow I will connect you with support for pregnant women, medical care, food help, temporary housing while you get back on your feet." I stared at him. "Why would you do all that?" Daniel's eyes softened. "Because I build homes, not just buildings, homes, and because you reminded me what a home is supposed to protect." The next day, Daniel keeps his promise. I leave the hospital in donated clothes. I feel embarrassed, but I also feel warm. A social worker meets me and speaks gently. She does not judge me. She asks simple questions and listens like my life matters. I sign papers with shaking hands. I keep expecting someone to say, "Sorry, we can't help," but no one says it. Outside, Daniel waits with Ben. When Ben sees me, he smiles. "Are you okay now?" he asks. I kneel carefully and smile back. "I'm okay," I say. This time, it is not a lie. Daniel drives me to a small apartment building. It is not fancy, but it is clean. It has heat. It has a lock that feels safe. When I walk into the room, I stop. There is a bed. There is a blanket. There is a tiny kitchen. I touch the wall just to make sure it is real. That night, I lie on the bed and listen to the quiet. No shouting, no door slamming, no lights being turned off to punish me. My hands rest on my stomach. My baby moves gently, like a small reminder. We are still here, I think. We are still here. Life does not become perfect overnight. I still wake up from nightmares. Sometimes I still hear the sound of the lock, click. Sometimes I still feel the cold on my face, even when the room is warm. But slowly, my body starts to heal. I go to doctor appointments. I eat real meals. Color returns to my skin. The sharp fear in my chest becomes softer. I join a simple job program through the city office. I learn how to write a new resume. I practice interviews. It is hard, but it is real. One afternoon, I receive a job offer from a community office. The pay is not huge, but it is steady. It comes with insurance. It comes with dignity. When I sign the contract, my hands shake again, this time not from cold, but from relief. Weeks later, I sit by a window in my small room and watch the snow fall again. It looks calmer now. It does not feel like the end of the world anymore. I think about that night outside the convenience store. I think about Ben's shaking hands. I think about the money in my pocket. I almost did not help him. I almost chose fear. But I helped him anyway. And that choice became a bridge, from darkness to light, from cold to warmth, from nothing to something. I lost my husband, but I found my strength. I lost my home, but I found a future. I learned something on those frozen streets. No matter how poor you are, you can still be kind. Kindness is the one thing nobody can take away from you. And sometimes when you least expect it,
it comes back to save you. If this story touched your heart, please like and share it. And tell me in the comments, have you ever helped a stranger when you had almost nothing?